Hello viewers, I just wanted to actually go over with you some aspects of my cat's diet. I have a male ragdoll. His name is Winchester. He's about 8 years of age, and over the years he's had issues with loose stool, and when he was a kitten, for a while there he was getting a lot of symptoms virtually like diarrhea. So I kind of converted his diet over to what's called a digestive care type diet. So a lot of the products I was getting were digestive care type products, and that did eventually get his loose stool, diarrhea type symptoms under control. So I've got it to the point now where I've got a fairly mixed bag really of different products, but the overall effect is working, and his stool is very pelletized, like a rabbit kind of pellet type of thing, which I believe is pretty ideal for a ragdoll cat. So I'll just go over the individual products for you and give you a bit of a rundown of what they are and why I use them. So this one here is called the Hills Dental Care TD T/D. It's a prescription diet. It's recommended by vets. So the idea with this one is designed to reduce the tartar buildup on the cat's teeth. And you'll see they're a nice, fairly large kind of pellet, and they have an odd smell. I can't really define what it is. It's not a natural smell. Some of them smell like a chicken flavour, but this one doesn't. It doesn't really have any particular flavour or whatever to it, but my cat eats it without any problems at all. The other product I'm using from Hills is the Science Diet for an adult cat that's over 7 years, because my cat's 8 years old now. So I'm going by their recommendations, for the age of the cat. And this is also a veterinary recommended product. This is a very fine grain pellet. There's an interesting thing about this one. You see it's actually quite fine grain pellets, quite small. So that one is... So from the large dental care diet down to the very small Hills Science diet one is the second one that I'm using. Then, as I said, it's a fairly complicated diet. So other products that I'm using, which I mix it all into the one bowl of dry foods, mind you. This is the one that I got onto quite early on in the piece, which is the Royal Canin Digestive Care Diet. And as you see there, it's advertising that it reduces 49%, almost 50% of the amount of cat poo. So this product not only helps support their healthy digestion, which means that they're not sort of pooing a loose stool because they're able to digest it properly, but they're also pooing less stool. So it's a double whammy. It's a very good product. I've been onto it for a while. I not only use the dry one, I use the wet one as well, which I'll show you in a minute. So this one is kind of like the O-ring shape, or maybe you could say sort of like Fruit Loops kind of thing. It's got a very fishy smell to it, that one, fish oil. Winchester seems to love a really fishy kind of diet. He loves the fishy products now. He went right off chicken type products and he's onto a sort of very fishy type of diet now. It's typical of cats actually. They love fish products. And finally, in the dry food products, got onto this one as well, which is Feline Natural. Now this is a one from New Zealand, I believe, and it's an unusual one, but as it says here, on the packet. You can use it as a complete meal or sprinkle it over your cat's food as a tasty topper. I tried using it by itself, but he didn't really go for it. So what I did was I took the second option, which is working beautifully. This is a very apparently, they call it a high meat diet. It's very much highly concentrated protein type of product. And you'll see there in my hand, it's can be fairly powdery. It is pelletized to some extent, but this is kind of getting low in the bag, and it becomes quite powdery. So I actually deliberately do that, deliberately make it a powder type of form, to use it as a garnish over my cat's food. So, you know, I sort of get a bowl of food which looks more or less like that. It's got all the different pellets in there. It's got the large ones from the dental product. It's got the smaller ones from the Hills Science product. It's got the ring-shaped ones from the Digestive diet, and it's also got the Feline Natural as a garnish. It's all mixed in there. It's quite a complicated diet when you think of it like that. It's very Moorish. My cat loves it. He eats it like nothing on earth. He munches into it, and I allow my cat to graze too. I just leave the you can see it here. I actually have his cat bowl on a elevated platform. How can you see it properly? Hard to see it. It's basically a ramp type of thing that I've got set up. Sort of a ramp type of thing which is used as a scratching ramp. And I've got his food bowl placed on that, which places it on an angle and elevates it off the ground so that he can eat it at a comfortable angle. There's some research that's been done on it that you shouldn't really put a cat's feeding bowl just flat on the ground, because they've got to bend their neck at an angle, or they've got to try and get the food into their mouth and through their esophagus at a strange angle. Makes it harder to get it in to the stomach and digest it. So eating at this particular elevated and inclined angle makes it easier for the cat to eat, and it goes down their throat into their esophagus and into their stomach more easily. So they're less inclined to reflux it or spew it back out again, vomit it back out again. So that's another aspect of feeding my cat that I've become aware of and incorporated. And of course I'm also using a watering system. So I've got a water fountain here, which is made by Catfish. The Catfish water fountain. Sorry about my photography of this, it's not very good, is it? Kind of trying to work with the camera backwards. The Catfish water fountain, which is running 24/7. And the thing with the water fountain, it's got filters in it which filters the water. So if there's any dust or dirt or anything in the environment that gets into the top of the system, it gets filtered out by the filters that are in there before it goes down into the bowl and then gets pumped back and recycled. So they're drinking filtered water. But with this fountain, I find that it gets to a point where you can hear the sound of it changes. It's like it goes from that humming sound that you hear now to more of a water trickling sound. And when I hear that water trickling sound, I know from experience that the level of the water in it is low. And so basically at that point, I'm assuming that there's a certain amount of toxic build-up, so bacteria, because bacteria multiplies over time in still water, or probably less so in moving water, but it's not pure water out of the tap or anything. So it is going to get a certain amount of toxic build-up, in my opinion. It's not a strictly speaking scientific analysis, But from what I know about the storing of food and the way that kind of works with bacteria and stuff, it probably is a bit of toxic buildup in that water over time. So as it gets consumed and there's less water and it's more concentrated, there's probably a higher toxicity level to the water in the bottom of it than there is at the start. So I only let it get to about maybe 1/3 full, and then I just chuck it. I just basically empty all that water and completely refresh it. And my cat seems to sense that the water is fresh or has been refreshed, and quite often he'll come in after I've topped it up and start drinking straight away. Other occasions he'll jump up. He has been in the past jumping onto the sink, either in the kitchen or not in the bathroom because it's just not accessible, but in the kitchen he jumps up onto the kitchen sink and wants to drink directly from the tap. So cats have a good understanding of what smells fresh, and they'll want to go for that. They'll go for what smells fresh, tastes fresh, whatever, Yeah, so if your water's smelling a bit putrid in a bowl, or even in a fountain or something that hasn't been changed for a while, they will steer clear of it and want to jump on the sink and drink tap water because they want fresh water. They don't want the rubbish. So you've got to keep it clean and recycle it regularly. If you've got a water system, like I said, I don't allow it to go below 1/3 full, and then I chuck that water out and totally recycle it. And my cat seems happy with that. It keeps him drinking water frequently. Yeah, so the other thing I'm using is, as a cat kind of product is my litter box. You can see it there. It's just a standard kind of Ozpet litter box, which is just a plastic tray basically with a sieve in the bottom of it, and I'm using this Ozpet litter, which is a good Australian made product. You see the Australian made label on there. This is very natural pellets, long lasting, has odor control. It's ecologically friendly. It just like biodegradable, breaks down into something that you can use as a garden mulch. Basically, that's what happens to it. And you basically just sieve it out. You got your pooper scooper and you just kind of sieving the pellets out over time. It gets to a point where you can smell there's too much whiskey in there, and that's when you turf it out. I just turf out the stuff in the bottom and then sift it and add more drier stuff as you go. But I just basically pooper scoop out pellets and dump them in the dunny. That's what I do. That's my system. It's nice and simple. I don't have a robot loo yet for my cat, maybe in the future, but at the moment the basic litter tray. But that is my dietary recommendation. Outside of that, the only other product I'm using is a wet food product, so I'll show you that. Another Royal Canin product that I use. So I supplement with these Royal Canin Digest Care or Digest Sensitive salsa gravy things, and I only use half a packet per meal. He doesn't eat the whole thing. There's no point putting out the whole packet and then he leaves half of it and it just gets wasted and thrown out. So I very quickly woke up to that fact. You might only need to give him 50% of the packet per serving per meal, and then coil it up, make it a nice airtight pack and put it in your refrigerator, get it out the next day and serve the rest of it. So 2 servings out of 1 satchel, that's what I'm getting, and that seems to work pretty much to how much he's eating. And that is another digestive care product, so it helps the cat digest the food. And as I said, I'm consistently getting a solid pelletized stool now. He hasn't had problems with soft stool or diarrhea or anything like that for ages. So you're not getting any of that sticky poo that sticks to his fur. Comes out like a rabbit pellet, and you just scoop it up and throw it in the dunny. It's very easy to cope with, and I think it's very healthy. So I'm also elevating his feeding tray, if I can get it into the camera. It's not easy to do. Oh gosh, it's hard. There it is. So I've got a just, you know, a kid's kind of food plate with a plastic cup underneath it so that it elevates it off the ground. So it elevates his feeding tray so he's not eating it at the ground level, so he can actually sit more comfortably and eat his food at a more comfortable level. That's the wet food, and that's how that's done. So there it is. That's basically Winchester's diet, and here he is, the man himself. And so Winchester, what do you say about Dad's diet? Are you happy? I'd say you would be, sport, wouldn't you? Look at that, we even look alike, don't we? Hey? Who's the pretty boy? This guy, aren't you?